So look, over the last few learning days, for those that have been here, not all of you, but over the last few learning days, you guys have covered cash. Okay. You've learned about cash. You've learned about strategy. You've learned about people. But none of that matters if you don't execute, because execution is where your business can turn strategy into reality. It's where your business is either going to win or it's going to stall and it's going to fail. You can have the boldest vision in the world. You can have a killer brand. You can have a smart financial model. You can have the right people on the bus. You can even have a hungry market. But if you're not executing, then you're just thinking about winnings. You've got to do the work. And that's really important because this is where execution is where you as entrepreneurs get to find out if you can actually do what you said you're going to do. Not on a slide, not on a spreadsheet, not in a meeting room, but out there in the chaos of the real world. Without execution, everything else is just theory. The results don't come from what you know, results come from what you do every day. Wax on, wax off. Results don't come from knowing, results come from mastery. And mastery is built by repetition. It's by repeatedly doing the work the progress is made. It's how you build your competitive edge. Wax on, wax off. And as you're doing that, execution starts to build its own momentum. Small wins at first, small things, but done well, done consistently over time, they start to shift the energy of your team. They give your team confidence. They build belief. They tell everyone, hey, we're actually getting somewhere. We can do this. And when the momentum kicks in, it's infectious. And as momentum builds up, what you start to create is reliable repetition. The right actions, done right, at the right time, over and over and over, even when you're not looking, even when you're not around, because here's what the customer sees. It's not your brand vision. It's not the company culture. It's not your revenue forecast. What the customer sees is what you consistently deliver, your product, your service, but also your timing, your delivery, your follow through. Execution is the customer experience at the front end. It's their results. It's the outcomes the customer gets. And execution is everything that you have to do at the back end in order to do that. You're driving your systems, driving your people, driving consistent value delivery, and driving that outcome so that your customers win. So what gets in the way? I'd leave two things: complexity and confusion. Complexity comes with all of the intricate details. It comes with the myriad of decisions that you have to make, and can be many, many unknowns. Complexity causes leaders to lose direction, lose clarity. It can generate fear. It can lead to indecision. But you solve complexity by hiring experts. We talked before about the importance of hiring A players. If you had to rebuild the engine of a car, then of course you would go out and hire an expert to help you figure that out. You wouldn't be scratching your head about it. So the critical thing in execution is to recognize where you have a complexity book. You go out and find the expert that can solve that for you. You bring the skills into the business so that you can continue running your business. So most of the time, if you deal with complexity right, then complexity isn't the issue. Complexity isn't what's getting in the way of execution, which leaves us with confusion. And execution dies in the fog of confusion. And what do I mean by confusion? If your team doesn't know where they're going, if they don't know what's the most important thing is, if they don't know what they're being measured on, if they don't know what the finish line is, then get this: nothing happens. Or worse, people do the wrong things. And as I'm sure many of you have experienced, sometimes they do the wrong things really well, wasting your resources, wasting time, burning up resources in the business. I get this and realize this. It's not enough to just think or hope that your team should know what's most important. That doesn't really cut it. That's not the same as everyone being clear and aligned on what's important, on understanding that and seeing the same thing. And that's why clarity is king. Generalizations and unspoken assumptions don't cut it. Assumptions kill clarity, and lack of clarity is the enemy of accountability. You can only be as effective as the level of clarity in your business, and weak generalizations don't cut it. You've got to have absolute clarity. So what clarity is required? The first thing is that you have to be specific and coherent about both your current position and your long-term destination. You've got to have both of these in order that people can see the journey you're on, they can see where you are today and where you're going. Clarity also requires that you have an awareness of your resources and how you're using it. Remember, you have only three resources: time, money, and people. How are you using those resources? Clarity requires that you're intentional about your targets, because what gets measured gets managed. And your team have to have that in order that everybody is rowing in the same direction. And finally, it's absolutely critical that you're clear about normal, because without you, nothing happens. It is absolutely essential that you lead with clarity. And once you have clarity, you can build effective systems. And the reason that that is so critical is systems are how you scale execution. Systems turn randomness into reliability. And attempts to build systems without first having the clarity will produce weak results, waste your resources, and destroy the lease in your business. Because systems require stability, and you can only have the stability if you first got the clarity. So today, what I want you to do is I want you to think about lifting that fall, nailing that clarity, building the systems, but most of all, committing to the work. Courageous, relentlessly, and unstoppable. Wax on, wax off. Now let's get into it. I'm going to teach you all how to execute.